Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. It's June 20th, and this is SIG CLI. I'm your host. I'm Mate. We have the agenda pre-packed for today. There are two main topics that we want to discuss, which is the retrospective and planning for 112. So let's get this thing going as soon as possible. Quick announcements. The master for 112 has been opened 2 days ago in at least my afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern time, if I remember correctly. So basically it's currently open for 112 features. 111 is slowly closing. If you got pinged for a bug, for an issue, please reply promptly to any queries or issues. If you find a bug that you think that is critical and should be in 111, then please reach out to the SIG release, and you'll probably have to open APR against 111 feature branch and have it fixed in master as well. That's all for announcements. The test grid, Antoine won't be able to make it. He was the on-call for testing for the past 2 weeks. He told me earlier that it was very clean and very peaceful, probably due to the code freeze. So nothing important happened over there. I can't remember who will be our next.
I believe I was signed up for the
Let me
next
open
2
my
weeks.
Yeah, I think that was you. Yeah, you're jumping in next. You will need to update the doc with new dates, how things will go with this one. Perfect. Okay, so I don't see Perez in here, so I'll just take over the responsibility for running the retro. So I've copied over. This is the 110, and this will be 111 retro. I'll share the link in the agenda so that you can all also have a look at it. So the first item is a quick reminder. This is a non-blameful type of a communication. We are not trying to blame or shame anything or anyone. We're trying to improve our processes, how everything was done in 111, what went well, what went not so well, what we could improve, and to be respectful and try to get this thing going. So as a first item, there is a follow-up from the last retro. I have last retro opened. The two action items and improvement areas that we've noted in 110 was improve flakes. We were basing mostly on the summary emails that were sent out to the entire Kubernetes community. Since then, we set up the on-call role. I think that several people already got a chance to play the role. During our last call, I was talking with Sean about doing a introduction video for the on-call. If everything goes well, we will do one during our next meeting, so that the playbook that was created by Sean, as one of the links, it will contain that particular recording of our meeting, so that the people that are filling in the role for the first time will know how to use the tools, what to look and where to look, how to perform the on-call role properly. The other item was to review the tests. This is the one area that I've discussed several times during KubeCon with Phil and with other folks. I've talked with the SIG testing as well during KubeCon. They sent out a proposal yesterday with the testing framework, with documents. They are currently gathering feedback. I haven't read through it, but I'm hoping that we will be slowly able to improve the test coverage currently. That is mostly due to the refactorings that happen in 1.11 and will continue to happen in the next releases. Okay, so going back to the current agenda, 1.11, what went well in 1.11?
So I'll go ahead and say one thing that stands out is response to test flakes. So I believe based on the test flake playbook we've set up, we've gotten much better at responding to flakes for our SIG.
Woo! That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Big, huge thank you to every single person that filled in the role, that's already signed up for the next weeks. That is amazing. That really, I haven't seen our SIG being called out, or when we were called out, it was always already taken care of. That is just amazing. So thank you to every single person doing this this job. It's not an easy one, but it's definitely worth it. Are there any other praises?
I'd also go ahead and say we've done a good job, I feel, in communicating what our plan is. So I'd say I have much more visibility into our roadmap and major features that we've committed to than in the past.
Okay, that's awesome.
We made some progress towards splitting out apply and I guess server-side printing as well, I think. So shrinking the complexity of the client.
Perfect. Anything else?
So on that same note, I'd go ahead and say we've also done a fairly good job with regards to pretty much consolidating all of the CLI pieces. So I know we have several goals with that, one of them being to split them out eventually. But I'd say in general, the CLI has gone through major cleanup, I'd say.
I would add to that that would not be even possible with some significant improvements on the API machinery side as well. A lot of the functionality that we have on the client code relies on the API machinery, and a lot has been improved in that area as well. So that's definitely a worthwhile improvement on their side. Okay, one last minute. Okay, hearing none, let's jump to what could have gone better in 1.11. And I'll actually start with that one because the roadmap visibility, although it improved, I would like to take it to the next level so that we did announce stuff, but I would like to see a clear roadmap at the beginning of the release. I don't think we had a proper planning call like we are going to have right after the retro. So I'm hoping to improve that part of the roadmap visibility even more. Does anyone have any other issues, improvements, or what could have gone better in 1.11?
And there's two, I guess, interpretations of this question. The first is like, what are issues, I guess, and then the second is just like, how can we like, what would we like to do to be more effective? I don't know. Does anything? I mean, I don't think anything. I think the 1.11 went pretty well from my perspective. But maybe there's some ways we could get more creative about other stuff.
Yeah, I think that maybe we could just jump to the next question, which is what we will do differently for 1.12 and beyond. And that will be the visibility. And this will be the discussion for 1.12 items. I would like to see a spreadsheet that will be linked in our agenda so that everyone can clearly see what are the main features. I've looked for the features that were extracted from the features repo for 1.12. I've seen there are two. One was around server-side printing, and the other one was kubectl diff. But none of the items that we will be talking about in a moment are there. So that's definitely something that we just need to ensure that it is put there. And most importantly, we have a spreadsheet that we will be able to look at towards the end of 1.12 release and say how good we are with our plans against the actual execution. Are there any other suggestions, action items?
So something at least for myself that may apply to others could be to try to be more involved in reviewing PRs that are not necessarily ones that you're a part of or that you've specifically been pinged on. Rather, if you come across a PR that is related to code pretty well, yeah, basically try to participate in it without being pinged on it or otherwise.
That's a really good one. That's really hard to do. I don't know. Tell me what tactics end up being successful for you, and I'll try and do the same. And maybe we can share them together.
Sounds good. I was thinking maybe a bot or something would watch keywords or something.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. And then I'll just like get too many things and then end up filtering out all the bot messages. That's like what always happens, right? I need the notifications. Wait, too many notifications. Black hole these.
Yeah,
That's
that's the problem.
one thing that we did for Customize was build the whole thing outside of kube control, outside Kubernetes, which allowed us to build it without having to coordinate with the main, like totally decouple. We're doing this piece of work from whether it will be released in 110 or 112 or 111 or whatever it is, and get customer feedback and launch it and have folks download it independently and make the test story a little bit simpler because it's not tied into this massive test suite, but instead you can have like focused unit tests on it. So from a development perspective, that worked pretty well. And in 112, I think what might be worth exploring is taking some of the encapsulated work, such as the dynamic create and dynamic set, and to first build those as their own commands in their own repo.
Yeah, I agree that makes sense. Basically, if we can establish a pattern in the future of isolating major features to a separate location, I agree. That sounds like the simplest approach.
I just noticed is the retrospective linked in the notes?
It is not. I haven't shared with
Okay.
anyone.
No problem. I was just wondering if I was missing something.
What's the CLI? I'll do that after the call. No worries.
Yeah.
I just need to figure out what's the email. I don't remember those off the top of my head. But yeah, it'll be linked in the agenda notes as usual. Okay, I think we're pretty good on the retro. So thanks anyone. I think we'll just continue with the other part of the meeting that is probably more interesting to a lot of us, which is planning. I've noticed that, Phil, you've added the first 4 items, so do you want to walk us through them shortly?
Yes. So the first 2 items are really about continuing the trend of moving hard-coded per API logic out of the client towards a mechanism that will work with version skewed clients and also work with extensions such as CRDs or aggregated APIs. Mache and I talked a bit about strategies and techniques for this at KubeCon EU, and this has also been discussed quite a bit in the past, but at KubeCon EU, kind of where the approach we both felt pretty good about was a sort of pseudo template based approach, but data driven. So you can attach data to CRDs, for instance, and then use that to drive the creation and set commands. Or rather, we talked about create, so to start there, and then depending on how that goes, explore if set would also be a possibility. The third one is server-side apply. I think the code for making this available is already being developed in a branch. The server-side apply, I believe, is also available as a flag in the API server. So we're hoping that in 1.12 that users will be able to try out this ability. And then lastly, getting customized available as an alpha command in kubectl. We're having a number of folks using this. Surprisingly, actually, a lot of folks are using it as a library too. But this will resolve a number of kubectl issues. And so the next logical step would be to put it as an alpha command and make it available to users that way. And that will also, doing so will also kind of flesh out that first end-to-end process for, can we take a feature, develop it outside the core, prototype it, get feedback, iterate on it, and then upstream it in an efficient manner. All right, that's all I got.
Okay, cool. Thanks. The later for that will be mostly Juan and myself, and that will be, you probably notice the vast majority of the refactoring that happened in 1.11. We've managed to extract the printing functionality to a common library, the same way we extracted certain functionalities such as configuration flags, record flags, and wait flags to these structures that can be then embedded inside of other commands and easily reused across the entire kubectl, making it easy and more composable for kubectl. So we will definitely continue those refactoring because the end goal of all of those refactoring is to be able to extract kubectl to its own repo so that this can move a lot faster than the Kubernetes itself. As a continuation of that work will be a common library, the printing methods, and a couple others. We've managed to encapsulate those in a single package so far. We would like to start the process of extracting these common functionalities to a library. We will start as a staging repo inside of Kubernetes, and at some point in time, we will be publishing that as a separate repository so that people who are writing their own plugins, their own kubectl-like CLIs, so all of them can easily consume those bits using that particular library and provide the same functionality in a similar manner that kubectl does. And then continuing on the topic, the plugins. We've had numerous discussions during the KubeCon. We've been bringing the topic of plugins in kubectl during our previous meeting several times. We're trying to gather all those expectations and the feedback that we gathered, and hopefully in 1.12 we'll be able to put together a proper plugin solution. And finally, as you probably all know, we were able to implement the server-side printing so that the printing functionality is currently driven by the server. The server knows how to print stuff, and it basically is going towards a path that the major functionalities should live on the server, and the client should be rather thin. So in 1.11, we've enabled the server-side print by default in kubectl, but there are still some deficiencies in this mechanism, like, for example, sorting. We've been discussing the sorting on one of our previous meetings. If you scroll through the notes, you'll be able to easily find the notes from that discussion. So there are some steps required to finish a proper server-side printing in the kubectl wiring. And that's basically it. Both Juan and I will be working on 4 of those interchangeably. So I think that's basically it. Are there any feature requests or plans that other folks have?
No, but I'm really excited about the moving the stuff into libraries.
Cool. Yeah, so am I. It will be really awesome to see those small bits growing into a actual separate repo. And at the end of the day, so that we will be able to extract the kubectl itself.
So really quickly, something I'd go ahead and say as well is, while the plan right now is to basically tie in the common library containing generic CLI options with plugins in the future, it'd be nice to think of a way to entice plugin authors in the future to use this library. So while the plan is, we'll use it ourselves, we'll dog food it. It would also be nice if we could highly entice people that write plugins to also make use of it. So that way we have a unified, sort of this unified way of making plugins. They'll behave the same. Users can expect invocation to be the same. I haven't yet thought of ways to ensure this though. So I'd say this could be something to have in the back of our minds.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one. And my current solution that is in my head is that we ourselves need to promote the mechanism, the library, through blog posts. And I'm hoping that as soon as we will have the plugins, we will just need to reach out to folks that are responsible for Kubernetes.io and ensure that the plugins is being described properly, that we have this mechanism, and that we are promoting this mechanism to beta, because I'm hoping that with the new plugins, we'll be able to do just that. And most importantly, provide people with the examples how to write the plugins. And within those examples, that particular library should be used. And this probably will be the best option. Additionally, there is a CFP open for KubeCon North America in December. I'm hoping to see some proposals around that particular topic coming from us as well. So I think that's probably the best option for popularize this approach.
Yeah, we could maybe have a brainstorming session around that.
Definitely. I've already pinged Sean about this topic so that he can sign up us for 2 sessions. One will be the intro session and one will be the deep dive. And we just need to figure out which of these sessions, how we will plan, what should be covered where. And definitely plugins will be one of those that I would like to see mentioned in both, and then we'll just need to figure out how much in depth we want to go into which functionality of the kubectl in which session. But that's more for the future. You just need to. Sure.
So, sorry to interrupt. Just a quick note on KubeCon. It's way in the future, but getting on top of it I'm sure is going to be helpful. The KubeCon itself is Tuesday through Thursday, and I believe that we have a Monday, we have a day before KubeCon where if we have the 2 deep dive and intro sessions, but if we wanted to go for a longer get together, we may want to consider getting together on Monday. I had heard that the community meeting or the meetings that happened in previous KubeCons may not happen this time through hallway conversation here. So if we want even more face-to-face time as a SIG, let's consider showing up a day early. I think most people show up a day early anyway, and get together for a few hours to do some deep planning.
I'm not sure how they are planning with it with this KubeCon, but what proved very well in Europe over a month ago was that the first day before KubeCon itself began was there was a core developers meetup. I can't remember what was the name of that meeting, and only the core developers for the majority of the bits for Cube were present there. And Phil and I, we spent a decent amount of time talking with each other about kubectl. I've also spent quite significant amount of time talking with the SIG apps over there. So I think, yeah, definitely the day before, I think they will be planning to some kind of a engagement for the core devs. So I'm hoping that this will be the exact time where each of us will be able to spend some face time together and discuss all of that is required.
Yeah, that time may be very useful for strategic and long-term planning, since it'll be face-to-face. The tactics are pretty well covered during these SIG CLI meetings through Zoom, but if we get face-to-face, maybe have a longer time horizon planning. Anyway.
Yeah, totally support that one. I had one more thing that I want to bring up for 112 planning. Please ensure that every single of these items that we have in here has a feature issue opened. If there is one already, please link it. If there's none, please open a new one. And put a link in here so that we have a place where to go, and so that they land properly in the overall Kubernetes future planning spreadsheets that is generated. Okay.
Hey, Sean, would you be willing to?
I'll be nagging every single. Yeah.
I was going to say, Sean, maybe at the beginning of next meeting, SIG CLI meeting, you can go through all of them, and we just make sure, like collectively at the beginning of the meeting, we'll make sure they all actually have that issue.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that sounds great. I'll sync with Sean about the so that we will do those at the time.
Okay, yeah, we may want to do that before the next meeting. I'm actually going to miss the next two meetings. In a week and a half, I start vacation, and so I'll miss the July 4th and July 18th meetings.
Okay.
Okay. Would you? We should figure out if there's anything that needs to be like the point person. We need to know who the point person is.
Okay, and just a quick question.
Well, actually,
just a quick question.
What was that?
If
I guess, Maciej, do you want to just fill in for the whole time?
Well, actually, no. July 4th, if I remember correctly, that's a holiday in the US.
Yes.
I think that's reasonable to just skip that meeting in that case, because in that case, that will be just me. I'm not sure where Fan is being based, but
he's here.
All of you will be. Yeah. So yeah, that will be just me in that case. I think there's no point in doing the meeting. So I'm gonna point here that this is canceled. And we will do one in a month. That will make sense, I think.
Okay, that makes sense.
So Phil, if we're developing outside of the core Kubernetes repo with most of these features, do we need to fill in all of the templated stuff for Kubernetes features?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to. This is kind of something we're experimenting with, and I'm not aware of anyone else doing this sort of approach. I think we probably want to approach it as if we are developing them as core Kubernetes features,
Okay.
just with the you know uh, efficiency benefits of development. But our intention, I think, is to get these features into 112 kube control as either vendoring the code or coming up with some other mechanism to be determined.
Got it.
Yeah. We'll sync Sean with regards, because if you're going to be out, then we just need to figure out how to ensure within the next 2 weeks so that this is linked to the proper issues. I'll be gone after for 2 weeks as well. So cool. I don't think we have any stand-ups because of the code freeze. I don't think that too much has been happening. Mostly I think a lot has happened around stabilizing 1.11 so that it is open. Unless I'm wrong, and feel free to prove me wrong.
If you wanted a quick update on the server-side apply, we are,
Sure.
again, we're very close to an alpha. Most of the work now is being done on plumbing the dry run flag through, and it has to go to all the webhooks and et cetera. So as it stands now, that's actually the kind of one of the last pieces that's being put together for the alpha. There's also a couple of small changes to kube control, but since they're on a feature branch, they're not going to be visible to the rest of you guys yet. So that's about it.
Okay. Thanks for the update. Cool. I think we filled in our time slots pretty good. Does anyone else have anything else to add with regards to either retro or planning or kubectl itself or our meetings overall?
I just want to say that I'm really happy with the focus of really not adding a bunch of new arbitrary features, but taking the existing functionality we have and making it so it's going to work better for extensions and for version skew and be more maintainable. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Actually, the version skew is something that we should probably improve, and that will make a very nice action item in our retro. I'm going to add it over there right after this meeting, that we should improve the version skew test maybe a little bit.
Yeah, that'd
with
be good.
Small steps. I think that's something reasonable to have, especially when at some point in time we will have our own kubectl repo, and then it will be super crucial that we don't have any problems with multiple versions, because then it will be even more important for us to be flexible when it comes to versioning.
So Juan, a quick note, I think since you're going to be test on call, you may want to check the current skew tests on the test grid to make sure that they're testing the correct skew versions. Does that make sense?
I believe so. I can ping you on Slack if I need more clarification, but
Okay, great.
That it makes sense for now.
Okay, I'll send one another email reminding that we canceled the meeting in 2 weeks because of the US holidays. And if that's all, thank you very much. That was a very fruitful meeting for myself, and I hope for all of you as well. I'll ensure to put up the recording, and I'll sync with you, Sean, about the linking the features. Thanks very much, folks, and see you soon in that case. Bye.